Yeah, thank you, Deepak, again. Thank you to the space also. It's wonderful. It always feels really like home coming back here. And yeah, I would like to keep that as embodied. I mean, it's a talk, but I would like to keep it as embodied as possible, which means take care of yourself. There are different variations of sitting, standing, so feel free to change if you feel like going on the floor, going standing up anytime. Have some water. There's in a little bottle very strong ginger juice if you need an additional kick. It's very strong, so be careful. We're gonna have two very short practices, and after about 30-35 minutes, we will have a short 5 minutes bio break so that you can refresh, and then we're going to start with the second part, which is more scientific. Let's call it like this. Okay, so before everything, I would like to first bring you a little bit into the body so that you can have before theory and really an experience of what the topic is today. So we're going to start our little exploration here. The candle. And here's a magic basket. And I just like you to take one object. Don't worry about what that is, just anything that touches you, touches your hand for the first touch.
Shall I pass it around?
I'm gonna pass it. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it. Because I like that everyone. Yeah. Also feel me a little bit closer. You good there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come a little bit closer or?
It's fine for the moment.
So everybody has something in their heads. Okay. So whatever if you have in your hands at the moment, just place it in the front of you in some way that you're not touching it just yet. And we're going to do here a little bit of exploration of that object that is in the front of you, but also you in the connection with that object. Okay? So, first of all, I would like to just invite all of you to look a little bit around in the space, so to orient yourself, around, and noticing that you are in a space, in a certain space, in a certain time. And just notice the surface of your skin for now. So anywhere where you feel or you see a piece of your skin, you can touch it. And just notice that the skin is a place where you start. So there's a space and there's you also in the space. And notice your breath also. Notice that each breath you take is also connected to the movement inside your body. It's just noticing. And when you're ready, you can just look at the object that is in the front of you. And try to look at it a little bit with your eyes from the back of your head, rather than reaching for the object. Just allow the object to kind of flow into your eyes. And just notice what happens to you, to your mind, when you look at these objects. Maybe there is a name of the object that is coming up. maybe some association with some of your experiences or a memory, or you're thinking, what are we doing here? What's that? And once you're ready, you can, I invite you to take that object in your hands and just start to explore it with your senses. So again, look at the colors, at the shape of that object, maybe some details, texture, how it feels under your skin. Maybe you want to smell it. Or hear it. Maybe taste it, if you want to taste it. Yeah, and just spend a moment on that, saying hello with your senses. Maybe playing with it. Trying something you would never do with that object before. Yeah, becoming a bit playful. And when you're ready again, you can just place the object again on the floor in the front of you and close your eyes. Notice your breath again. And just notice what happens inside in your body in that moment after you have been in contact with that object, with that piece of matter. And focus really on physical sensations. So maybe you feel some tingling, temperature change, some tensions, something is flowing. Maybe you don't feel anything. It's also fine. And gently dropping down everything from your day to day, whatever is not necessarily necessary for now. Whenever you're ready, you can fully open your eyes and say goodbye to this object in the front of you, in whichever way. Maybe you want to have a little stretch, just to transition back And I would love to hear just one word from all of you, maybe starting from Theo. Just one word, just that I like to hear your voices, and I like that you hear your voices together. Just one word.
Surprising.
Warmth. Immediacy. Presence. Grounding.
Rough.
Emotion.
Red. Soft. Dry.
Say again?
Dry.
Dry.
Dream.
Dream.
Expansive.
Silky.
Activation.
Okay.
Reminder. Sharing.
Connection.
I felt shaking still inside my belly. Yeah. Okay, so welcome. Yeah, so I'm Kasia. Very pleased to see and experience all of you for the next moments here together. Yeah, you're going to interact with this person that you see as one entity, as integrated body-mind person, known as Kasia, that has came to this world at a certain time, 42 years ago. Will leave, I'm not sure yet, but I will definitely leave from here. I guess, Deepak, no? You're gonna leave. But at the same time, I'm many, and each of you is many. I have recorded not only, as we think, in the brain and my nervous system, but also in all of the cells of my body, myself from the moment of conception until now, maybe even before that. And they are like pieces of me that function just like organs in my body, cells in my body that are connected with each other, and they are in a constant chatter, either that I'm aware of or that I'm not aware of at all. And yeah, we're going to be discovering this later on. So I'm actually interested, since I remember consciously, I was interested in life and what life is, what nature is. I spent quite a lot of time as a kid on a farm in Poland, in a very rural place. There was no computers, there was nothing else to do, just running around and looking at the bees and flowers. And yeah, I was kind of a philosophical child. So I was really interested, okay, it's like, what is this, why we are here? I was fascinated by death as well, what's happening, you know, then when we go out of this planet, of this earth, and how biology works. And that obviously led me to studying biology. So most of my my professional life I spent studying biology. And so there are three ways I feel we can study life. So the first and I consider as extremely important is experience. So as being a part of the nature, as being as having a flesh, we have experiences through which we might learn something about life and nature. We obviously have science, which answers the questions how life works. So it's a lot about understanding, and a lot in our culture, and our Western culture. This is how, this is the main way how we experience or how we learn about life and nature. And there's also ceremony, and this is a kind of a metaphysical question, why we are here. And Marco, my partner who's sitting there, he's like, what is the ceremony? What is it? What is it for? And I call this as a relationship with nature. Ceremonies are basically places where we, or events that we attend in order to go through a certain transition to another milestone of our life. It might be a marriage, it might be a ceremony with psychedelics, it might be a very small thing like we have today, right? This is my first talk that I'm giving about that. That's my ceremony of starting, share what I have learned. And if we think about those three, the experience really is about us. So it's our experience. So it's about me. The science is using a third-person perspective. So it's he, she, it, they. And in a ceremony, it's a lot about community and bonding, and that's something, that I hope is going to be coming, more and more into our culture again, more consciously, because we always had ceremonies, and we always will have ceremonies. It's just a question of consciously knowing what that ceremony means to us. And still, I feel that the experience is something that I don't know if I want to say most important, but it's something that is extremely unique because it's about our perspective, our experience of us as unique creatures that have never been here before and probably will never be here again. So it's just unique perspective. So I'm also interested about what makes us thrive in that in-body experience, in that incarnation. So incarnation is inside the body. And there are those three categories that many teachers and many books and many places talk about. What are those needs that we need to have fulfilled in one way or the other? And these are the needs of belonging, so this would be nurturing attachment, rest, pleasure, safety, and nourishment. Aliveness, which is experiencing this aliveness through flow of love and sexuality, creative expression, and playfulness and learning. Learning is also very important. And finally, authenticity, which is a lot about purpose and meaning, and expansion, consciousness expansion, or expansions of ourselves, and something that I called self-defined spirituality. I have not found another way of talking about, so something which allows us to connect to something bigger, but which is not necessarily directed by dogma, but rather comes from inside our community or ourselves. And those needs are differently, they're all very important all the time, but some of them are more essential. So belonging is very essential for children because they are not developed yet enough to have that authenticity drive. And in a later stage, authenticity and purpose is something that is becomes sort of in the front. So saying that, I don't consider that if those needs are fulfilled that we always need to be healthy and happy. I actually don't think that for thriving in life we need to be 100% happy and 100% healthy with no pains and no problems in life. Quite the opposite. I feel that we grow through pain and problems and facing that is really progressing our expansion, and more so what is important is actually understanding what it means for us, that what we are going through. So here we are coming to the topic of embodied expanding, and this whole kind of idea behind it comes really from my own experience, from many beautiful things that I have experienced in my life, but also very dark experiences connected to anxiety and clinical depressions that kept coming back and comes back once in a while. And also this notion of society or societal culture maybe that treats bodies still very often as an object. So it's something that has to be functional, something that should give us pleasure when we want it, rather than making a connection with and have some form of subjective experience with our own body. So here we are. We start today with this series of our talks, mini workshops. Next time we will be talking about skin and touch. And I hope this will evolve, because I'm just starting and there's just so much I would like to say. So let's see where that takes me. So for me, embodied expanding is really summarized in these 3 words: experience nature within. So here we see that person that is somewhere camping in the nature and is like kind of looking through this little lens, which we also looking through our little eyes in our body, and we know that there's this big nature outside, but at the same time we are part of the nature. So expansion is for me really kind of looking or stepping out and seeing, wow, like this is, I'm part of all of that. That's me, I'm nature too. And I can come closer to that nature that I carry inside of myself. And I say that in embodied expanding we explore how to navigate life's infinite rhythmic process of creation, defragmentation, and evolution, intimately bound to the experience of inhabiting the body. So in here I would like to give you a little bit of a feeling of how to navigate that experience in the body through my lens, of course, and I'm just encouraging you to take that presentation through your own lens. And that life has a rhythm, it's a process as well. This process has certain stages: creation, defragmentation, evolution, and that all of that comes through from us inhabiting the body, actually us living that for that short period of time. Okay, so let's come back again to this big question: what is life and what is nature? And in many cultures, nature, particularly in our kind of our geographical space, nature is very often connected to wheat, to grains, and what it represents is so there's a plant, right? And this plant is a nature that has those seeds. I don't know how many seeds are inside one grain, let's say 20, 40, and we are those seeds. We are the life that nature has created. And since we are in a philosophical space, and of course if we have no idea and no clue what life and nature is, we're going to ask philosophers first, because they always know and they always say something. So from Greeks we have those this concept of 3 parts: zoe, psyche, yeah, psyche we would say now, and bios. So zoe is something that is an essential for everything that exists. It's eternal, it was never born and never dies. Psyche, which we would call psyche now, and science doesn't call it like this, but in many traditions we would call it soul as well, soul, mind, which for Greeks, philosophers, and many other traditions is considered immortal. It's a timeless personality, emotions, mental life, and individuality. And then finally there's bios, which is a temporary natural life, so basically humans, animals. This life is connected to decay and death at some point. And again, what is life? What is nature? I don't think there is a distinction. Nature we can call as something more on the meta level, and life on this individual level. I don't think we need this question, this answer exactly at this moment. And there's another thing that will always, that will also guide us here in the presentation. This is a picture from my kitchen that I drew myself a couple of years ago, and I had like this vision of the tree, and then I connected these words to it from Hermetism: as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. And keep that phrase in the mind, it will be repeating itself over and over again. Yes, this which is supposed to be here. So, rhythm, life has a rhythm. And it's not difficult to find this rhythm in your own body, because when you just tune into the heartbeat or the breath, there is a certain rhythm, particularly in your heart. And we can say that this rhythm of life is also an expression of the rhythm of the nature. Everything has its vibration or frequency. And the cycle of life, again, you might see that in a lot of traditions, shamanic traditions, this so-called medicinal wheel, which represent these 4 stages: being born, growing, producing or reproducing, and dying. And this cycle is not just represented in our own bodies, but you will feel it in your projects, in your work, in objects, material objects. And this wheel just spins over and over and over and over again, infinite. It's an infinite cycle, always changing because everything is unique, but it's always the same. Yeah. And here we are to a second piece of the practice, which will be a short mythopoetic journey. Mythopoetic is basically visual symbolic imagery. Poet who you're going to hear is Maya Luna, who is a teacher, my teacher since many years, and she teaches particularly embodiment and feminine wisdom. Music is by Anteo, wonderful musicians, and I have constructed this video, so imagery. So make yourself comfortable, have some water if you like. It's going to be about 3 minutes. And again, it will be music, there will be words spoken, and there will be also something for your eyes. So don't feel like you need to kind of catch every single thing. Rather than really consuming or taking everything that's happening on the screen or what you hear, just go with that video a little bit with your own rhythm of your body. And if you fall asleep or if you close your eyes, you're going to get as much from it as by looking and listening to every single word. So in this talk and in the future talks, I will invite you always to that one of those journeys, which I find that arts are really something intermediary between experience and the reason, or science, or the concepts. And we are in a wonderful place to experience art because it's just all around us. So you have some moment later on also with yourself to take advantage of that space, beautiful space. So here we are at the science. I love images, so I try to make it as digestible as possible. And easy to connect. Again, if you feel too tired, just lie down. Like honestly, you can lie down on that presentation or really not feel in any way bad about it. Okay, so we're gonna go back again into into life and nature. So how can we describe it? Well, first of all, most of everything is nothing. And you will see in next slide, so we always as above, so as in the cosmos, in the universe, and so below, so in our cells, in our life. Most of the universe is actually dark matter and dark energy. The normal matter, which we consider this, is only 4%. Another 2% are neutrinos, which are kind of weird matter that, yeah, is kind of interacting a bit and a bit not. We don't know a lot about this dark matter and this dark energy. There's some information coming in as the technology is progressing, but yeah, basically most of it, over 90% is nothing, basically. We would consider nothing. And so it is below in us, in organisms that are living on this planet. Everyone familiar with DNA, I guess. So DNA is present in almost every cell of our body. And DNA is sort of a code that translates the proteins that we have that are making our body, our enzymes, etc. And while scientists were decoding the DNA, they found out that only about 2% is actually coding DNA, so something that actually makes proteins. And 98% of the DNA is something else. And for a very long time, this something else, this non-coding, was named junk DNA, and this was for a very, very long time considered as it's for nothing, we don't need it. But that is changing very much, particularly in the last maybe 15 years, as we are understanding more and more that this nothing, this junk DNA, is actually extremely important and has many, many, many functions. But again, 98% of is what is crucial in our cells is sort of, we don't know exactly, we start to understand, but used to be named even junk before. And again, life is in a constant rhythmical change. So as above, as we see here on the left, our Earth is going through the cycles over the year and with the night and day. On the right is a moon. Actually, yesterday was a full moon, so we are still in that beautiful energy. And of course, in our own body, for the people that are menstruating, we know we have those 4 phases that are having a very different hormonal outfit, but also we feel very different, we are almost different people. For all the people, we are going through the circadian rhythm, that is kind of a 24-hour clock related to the light, and that kind of regulates the sleepiness and awareness. So we are all constantly in that rhythm. And life likes spirals and vortices. We know that, again, in the universe, galaxies, and our own solar system, they're going in sort of a spiral movement. And so is in our beautiful nature. The snail and the broccoli, they have spirals. And also our amazing heart, which I have not known before until I really saw that video. So Gil Hadley is an amazing anatomist, integral anatomist, who treats body really with an amazing respect and really in a holistic way. I really recommend you to look at his YouTube channel. It's beautiful. They're really short videos where you can learn a lot about your body. And here he's going to show you the anatomy of the heart that comes from a person who donated it, who passed away, called Z, and he will thank also Z in the end of the video.
part is really the locus where the blood spins itself. Right? But the life force is refreshed and spun by the contraction of the fibers of the beautiful heart center, literally wringing the blood out of itself as it ejects through these incredible valves and tours the entire human form before it returns again for another refreshing wringing out and spinning forth the reoxygenated blood. Incredible, huh? Wow. Heart center. The place where the blood spins itself. Thanks, Z.
Amazing, huh? Life likes fractals, so those never-ending patterns. These are real photographs that comes from our universe, from Hubble telescope. They're just amazing. I mean, those photos, again, if you have an opportunity to look at them, they're just mesmerizing. It's so beautiful to see something like that, thanks to the technology that we have. And so is below. Patterns are everywhere inside the nature, and of course inside of us, inside every organ that we have, inside every single cell. And life is also in a constant movement. This is a beautiful photo, an animation of how our solar system is spinning, how it's moving, but also how the whole solar system is moving inside the galaxy. And again, you will see the spirals, of course. Also how minuscule our solar system is, and not talking about us, we are like a dust in the universe. And of course life is in a constant movement within ourselves, and this is an MRI photo video of a baby inside the belly of the mom. It always touches me to see the...
This MR video shows a baby of 21 weeks gestation. She's about the size of a dinner plate. You can see her eye as this white circle there. We can also see her stomach. And we can see her hand opening and shutting and playing with her toes. The baby is extremely active, kicking with both legs and reaching out with both hands.
Very cute. Always moving. And here we are. As we are sitting here, your lungs are working here on the left in black. Your heart is beating and massaging your organs. And on the right is an amazing work that was done by this group. Again, thanks to technology, we are also able to amplify now this signal in the brain to see that the brain is actually beating with the beat of the heart, and it's in a constant movement of fluids and cells, so we are literally all the time massaged inside and always moving. I mean, how cool is that? And someone in the Bureau of Labor Statistics of US in 2016 have calculated that actually we spend 30% of our life unconscious. So all of this, what we have seen just before, we don't think of. We don't have to manage at any point anything that is happening in our body. It's just all running by ourselves. We spend 30% of our life unconscious sleeping, at least 30%, right? And again, I want to here just kind of drop that, how we consider that unconscious or that sleep or that rest or that nothing in our Western culture, where it's all about productivity and not having breaks even and just going, and how we all struggle. I mean, I struggle that with myself, like just to sit and do nothing, not meditating, not doing any stretches, just sit and be like completely useless. And that's where I feel we can really have an experience of like how much is happening as nothing is happening within ourselves. And more so, the life doesn't even need a nervous system or a brain, which we consider kind of an amazement of evolution within ourselves to solve problems. And here I will show you a video of an organism called slime mold. I don't know, maybe some of you have ever heard about it, that actually solves problems without brain, without nervous
When
system.
scientists first brought Viscerum polycephalum to the lab, it was simply to study the way it moves. No one thought that it was capable of making choices, never mind choices that seemed well thought out. That is until the year 2000, when researchers in Japan put Viscerum polycephalum to the test in the form of a maze. They chopped up a single specimen and scattered its pieces throughout a plastic maze. They then put 2 food sources at either end of the maze. There were 4 possible routes the plasmodium could take to get from the start and endpoints. First, the plasmodial pieces spread and reconnected to form a single organism that filled the entire maze. After 4 hours, the parts of the plasmodium that occupied dead ends shrank. The remaining part of the plasmodium was then weighing its options, comparing all of the possible connections. After another 4 hours, it selected the shortest path between the food sources. And recently, scientists realized that the way slime mold achieves this is even more complex than they thought. As it crawls through the maze, it leaves behind a trail of slime. Researchers realized that the slime mold will avoid this slime trail, meaning it avoids places it's already traveled, giving it a kind of externalized spatial memory. Since then, scientists have been discovering new applications for Viscerum polycephalum.
And there's a whole documentary just on this one organism, right? So one cell organism solving problems like a metro system in Tokyo and many other things. And I really wanted to show you also something from my lab where I'm working at the Zurich University of Applied Sciences, just to show you the principle of self-organization in life. So again, how is that from one cell suddenly everything emerges in some amazing miracle of life, of a complexity of life. And here there's a machine that basically vibrates in different frequencies and a different frequency and amplitude. So it's just a vibrating plate. And on the top of that plate there is a Petri dish, just a plastic dish with a bit of water and cells inside it. And depending on the vibration of the plate, cells will create a certain patterns. Maybe perhaps you saw some experiments with the sand pieces and vibrating plates, which actually is this machine is really inspired. Also, the company says it's inspired by nature because that is what is happening. We don't know how it works, but that's how morphogenesis, so the creation of our organs and tissues, is created. So just look at the little screen as he's changing the amplitude and frequency, and you see these different patterns, how the cells come together. Quite a cool machine. Very simple as well. Okay, so we are coming slowly to the realm of consciousness, and we many of us know that beautiful metaphor that I think originally was created by Freud, where there's this the consciousness, our consciousness is a iceberg or piece of ice, and we only can see a really small proportion on the top. And below is most of it, or our unconscious is below. And there's all sorts of amazing things happening in this unconscious that famous Swiss psychologist, psychoanalyst had looked at Jung. And this is the realm of the body, really. And conscious is very deeply connected to that experience that we have in the body. As you have seen, most of what is happening in the body is unconscious to us. So here I'm asking this question: is there perhaps a more fundamental form of consciousness that is coded into our body, that is representing again these endless, eternal qualities of the nature? And to answer the questions that have no answers, again we come back to the philosophers, and believe it or not, there were some philosophers, and there are still, that have not been only interested in the mind, but in the body as well. And this man, French philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty, he created a philosophy direction called phenomenology, which I always have a lot of problems to say. And this is basically a questions of a subjective of experience and experience for our body. And he said, the body is not a passive container for individuals' consciousness, but an active and integral part of their lived experience. So it's not just a passive container, not just a piece of matter, where the consciousness is living, but it's an active and integral part of the experience. Talking also about this body and mind as being one, being whole. This is what makes us who we are, this connection that is inseparable. So what is consciousness? We don't know what is consciousness, and of course there are many theories. I'm just going to read through that just for you to kind of hear it. You don't have to sort of put a lot of thought to it. From Broom, evaluation of actions of others, a memory of one's own actions and their consequences, being able to assess risks and benefits, some degree of awareness, experiencing affective states, then Klein and Barham 2016, integration of information from sensory inputs, access to memories, interoception, which is a feeling of ourselves inside ourselves, physical sensations inside of us, monitoring feedback, and Birch 2020, perceptual experiences, evaluative experiences, integration of information at a point in time, integration of information across time and self-consciousness. Again, it doesn't talk at all anything about nervous system and brain in those sort of theories or ideas. I feel that the studies of consciousness is coming in now. I'm going to talk at the end of that, I might talk about that a little bit briefly. But there's this concept of the consciousness of our mind, which we can divide into two kind of categories. And this man who was Edelman, who was a biologist, Nobel Prize winner in immunology, he was very, very interested in consciousness, as many biologists are obviously. And he said we can sort of divide consciousness into those two different types. One is called implicit self, which is evolutionary older, and is connected to our sensations, emotions, mental images, where there's no time or planning. And it's just being. It's not about ego, and it's also self-correcting. There's a mechanism that allows this primary consciousness to kind of come back to the center, to the balance. And a secondary consciousness, which we would consider our ego or personality, basically, is thinking, making sense, language, sense of time, goals, abstractions, self-reflecting. So who am I, why am I here? And it's basically conscious, what we consider conscious self. And going back to Maurice, he said actually that matter is pregnant with form. So he said that the physical things that are around us, which is matter basically, and the form, so basically the meaning that we give to the things, are connected with each other. So we are not just like witnesses that are completely disconnected from the reality, but we create meaning through interacting with the reality, and this interaction tool is our body, basically. So matter is pregnant with form. And again, he pointed here out this importance of experience and consciousness. And of course, embodiment. What is embodiment? So when you look at those two rabbits, right? One we would say is a little bit grumpy, the other one we could say is a little bit happy. And how do we know that if we don't talk rabbit? We don't even have this rabbit here, right? But there's something in the faces that we kind of perceive and how the experience that we have with probably human beings that can tell us that maybe this one is grumpy or this one is happy. And it's really in their body, right? It's in their mimic, in their eyes, that kind of can tell us something about their inside. So I want to start this exploration about embodiment with this famous experiment, which is called rubber hand illusion. And that's me from 2019 from the Science of Consciousness that was actually in Switzerland. It's a really cool experiment. So you see that setup where on the closer to the wall is my hand, and then there is a kind of divider. On the other side, you will see the rubber hand, and I'm looking at the rubber hand. And Marte here, the scientist that was showing this experiment, he will stroke both of the hands, mine and the fake one, in the same way. So at some point, I basically started to feel that the rubber hand is my hand. It's super cool. I really, if you can kind of arrange it, I really encourage you to feel something like this.
We're not gonna do a video. Get the whole thing.
Yeah, also the saying is not ideal.
Yeah. Well, it could work with any hand. Really.
So while he was doing that, because I'm a scientist, I was all the time thinking, what is he doing? What is going to happen? So this basically shows you again that the perception, embodiment, body ownership, it's not something that is sort of separate. It all kind of comes together. And there's a whole area where that is called phantomonology, if I'm saying it right, where people like Marty are looking into, for example, prosthetics, how to embody prosthetics, so how to feel that this part of the body is yours if you have, for example, amputation. And another experiment that comes from the Be Another lab that Marty is also part of was a virtual reality experiment of a gender swap. So here the idea was to have give an experience to a person of the opposite gender. How is it to be an opposite gender? So in this case, I think there'll be two couples, basically man and a woman, and yeah, just see how it looks like, how the setup looks like. I find that just absolutely amazing, and they have done a lot of that work for basically mutual respect and feeling how is it to be another, and also yeah, just to say the gender is an identity. It's not something that we have. We are born. We are born with a certain confirmation, but the concept of gender is something that we take in, right? And this is my beloved teacher, Bonnie Bainbridge-Cohen, who is a movement artist, a researcher, educator, and developer of the modality called body-mind centering. And she really went deeply. I mean, she's a movement artist. She went deeply into looking into embodiment and how is it connected to consciousness, and how do we integrate the movements slowly into our life, and what does it make it. And she talks about those three levels. The level of the visualization, which is a perception that is connected to our frontal lobe. Somatization is about feeling it, a sensory experience. And embodiment is something so deep that you don't even feel it. It just happens. It happens on the level of your cells. so deep. So the Trinity of Life experiences, I called it. Embodiment is basically everything that is happening that creates a certain pattern in our body that we don't really even very often don't notice. It goes so deep that it's on the level of ourselves, our organs, the systems of the organs. But you can tune into that, and we have done that today. When I asked you, look what is happening in your physical body inside, you could say maybe, oh, my heart is beating, or I feel the flow, like something is flowing in my belly. So there is a way of connecting to that embodied consciousness of the cells. Then there's a sensation, so how we interact with the reality, with the object, with the space around us. So if you have a blanket around you, you can say, I feel the warmth of the blanket on my skin. And finally, the way we perceive it is basically the meaning that we give it to it. And in that case, maybe I perceive it as it's a self-love. I'm giving myself self-love because I'm under the blanket. And here's what she says a little bit deeper about embodiment. Embodiment is the awareness of cells themselves. It is direct experience. There are no intermediate steps or translations. There's no guide. There's no witness. There's fully known consciousness of the experience moment initiated from the cells themselves. It is, in this instance, the brain is the last to know. The brain is the last to know. There's complete knowing. There is peaceful comprehension. Out of this embodiment process emerges feeling, sensing, thinking, witnessing, understanding, compassion. The source of this process is free, and it is love. So what she's saying is that embodiment, what is happening on our cells, is the basics, the fundament on which all of what we are, including our feelings, emotions, is built up a little bit like an onion. And she says that the language of embodiment, the language of our body is movement and touch. She had basically wrote for me a Bible, a book that talks about these basic neurocellular patterns, which are a series of automatic movements that are movement sequences that normally emerge and ideally integrate through infancy. So it starts with one cell that divides, starts to move in a certain way, then the infant will develop or learn certain movements, and on the top of that, everything is later on created. So an example I can give is breastfeeding. So I don't have my own children, but she is, of course, talking about children a lot. Children, the infants that are breastfed should look for a nipple. So we should not give them the nipple, but they should really try to find it by themselves. So in order for that, they have to move their head, right? They have to turn into one way or the other. So this is the way they're learning those movements. And on top of that, if you imagine a child that has this ability in their life later on, as a little kid, and later, they'll be able to explore and look for things. They will not wait until something is given to them. And then you have a kid, for example, that is fed by the bottle, with a bottle that is just stuck into their mouth. So what do they learn? They learn that basically in order to get something, they have to wait and be passive. And if they don't get it, it's not their fault, or it's just kind of making it up at the moment. But you understand the idea. So it's extremely deep, and it should be ideally integrated in the infancy. It gives us something that will not change. So as we are here, we have developed a certain body. I don't know how my body would look like if I would be having a different life, right? We will never know. But there's things you can do to, let's say, correct these things that have not happened to you in the right time, in the right place, or that happened to you that were not supposed to happen. And we're coming here into the world of trauma. I have just another 3 slides. So bear with me. I'm not going to talk a lot about trauma. I let just Bonnie to talk about it. Again,
We just pause for a moment right now. All of our cells are in this moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
The nervous system then records this pattern. It's the great strength of the nervous system. It can take all, first of all, also the blood and the fluids are also recording. They're all over. Every cell has contact with blood, so let's say fluid through lymph or CSF or something, but all the fluids are coming in and out of the blood. It's also recording, but it's recording differently than the nervous system. Because I have many years studied with people who have neurological challenges and other challenges, each person has shown me something about the nervous system. And that it's important that it forms patterns, but some of the patterns are now the problem because we're still in a past experience that's problematic. But the blood is also holding that pattern, as is the fascia, muscles, bones, all the things. Digestion, the microbiomes. Everything is holding patterns. And we want to have those patterns so that we don't have to reinvent ourselves every moment. But then we also want to know, when is there a pattern that is repressing a more natural pattern? And is it natural, is it organic, what do the words mean? By going back to the embryology, what I found is I've been able to, and with others, go underneath some of the patterns that are restricting before there was the restriction. At the same time, discovering the restriction. So let's say there's a lot happening now, fortunately, with trauma being acknowledged, and it keeps happening. When we recognize somatically in the cells what the traumatic pattern is, we have choice. At the same time, if our whole life is pivoting around that traumatic moment, our life is much more valuable than that traumatic moment. How do we cycle it around our life-giving force? So the trauma is only one piece of our life-giving pattern.
yeah, so she talks about the choice. Once we connect to that depth of our embodiment, the cells, physically our cells are doing, we have a choice to change it. And again, I want to bring here this self-correcting abilities of our bodies. If we let our body to do what it knows how to do, it really has immense wisdom, and it supports us to also break those patterns that are not necessarily serving us. And we're kind of making a loop here. As a last quote from the wise people, from a wise man, Stephen Porges, who is a professor of psychology. Many of you might know him as a developer of the polyvagal theory, which is a theory how our nervous system and our organs and our body work together. And he says, most strategies towards higher consciousness and expanded consciousness are flags of false direction. They emphasize higher brain structures and the cortex, expanding the use of cortical activity and deny our body's underlying foundational components. First, we need to claim our evolutionary heritage. Once we do, we understand that our bodies calm down through a social engagement system, through relationships with trusted others. Reaching higher states of consciousness requires a physiology that is not in a state of threat. We need to enter these states not through dissociative but calm states. So what he says here is that we kind of do it wrong, or the way we think about expansion of consciousness, if we even think about psychedelics, sometimes we are kind of too fast with certain things. That first we need that foundation, we need to claim our evolutionary heritage, so we need to claim our body, the wisdom of our body, to have a basis on which this expansion may happen in a way that it serves us and it serves the society and it serves the world. And he talks here about social engagement system. He talks here about relationships. So I want you to take that those relationships are really important, and in Embodied Expanding it's really about relationship. It's about connection with your body, with yourself, with the space around you, matter around you, other people, and the nature. And I just like to say that to the world, to the nature, we always remain as children. We're going to be always the children of that essential and never-ending, you can call it consciousness or however you want, nature. And we are those seeds that have here an extremely unique experience, an extremely unique body that also gives back into that eternal. And we are so small, we're just like such a tiny little dust in the universe, but at the same time so significant because of our uniqueness. So next time I'm going to be talking about skin and touch, so basically building up on what we have talked or what you have heard today. And this is, for most my beloved topic, touch. It's my beloved topic. Talking about consciousness, I also want you to just familiarize yourself with maybe there are some flyers around. Deepak and James have opened up a new series that happens on Tuesdays until the end of the year on consciousness studies. So everything about consciousness from many different perspectives, together with me and Simon and Diego, amazing people. I'm going to be talking about psychedelic perspective in October as well, so I will have 2 talks in October, lots of preparations. And that's it from my side for now. Thank you so much for your presence here, and happy to have some discussion. We have another half an hour, more or less, to enjoy the space, to enjoy the snacks. You can enjoy Sophia as well, that you have met probably, the torso. She's very happy to show herself, if you want to explore the beauty of the body. And Deepak, thank you so much again for beautiful time, space, and beautiful friendship.
Thank you very much. Brilliant talk. I study philosophy and consciousness, and I also learned quite a lot of new things here. So it's really brilliant.